The Fast Food Podcast.
Me?
The boys are back.
They are.
Mo and Rory have returned.
Imagine.
New Rory and Mo. And it was interesting because last episode, I actually swore they weren't coming back because I was just like, where are they? It's 6 weeks.
Yeah.
6 weeks. Where are they for? Like, if they can't get this straight, it's peak because obviously Ish and what's that other Donny? Ice and Ish.
Yeah.
We're holding down the fort, and I was kind of getting. I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of getting used to that concept because at the end of the day, bro,
You've already shut off in your mind. You're like, they cut.
I'm just gonna keep it moving.
Who cares? I enjoy the podcast, and that's all that matters. Got ya.
Then man, they returned. I saw a picture come up. They're in the picture. I was like, okay, cool.
Very professional.
And then I was like, shit, it's fucking Wednesday. So I'm like, I'm going straight to the source.
Yeah.
It was Wednesday. I was like, cool. So I was locked in. Very interesting. Yeah. And I like that they spoke about so many things. Let's talk about it. Okay. So first and foremost, Joe told Rory to take some time off.
Fuck your mum. Okay.
So around that time where they were having little digs at each other on the podcast, and Rory was talking about fighting Joe and like,
See these hands.
like like there was real tension.
Do you think Rory can fight?
Bro.
Anyway.
I mean,
He's a white ginger Irish, probably.
Yeah, what does that mean?
but you know what? The thing about it is, whether he could fight or not, he doesn't seem to care about not fighting Joe.
He just wants to.
No, I'm assuming he's not. Bro,
It takes a lot to be able to say that you want to thump someone and have a fight.
Yeah.
So whatever that was, he went to an emotional place, emotional enough to have known Joe for as long as he has, to then willing to
vocalize
inflict violence on him. He must have been at his tether. He must have been right at the end of his wick.
And do we know exactly what that was all about? Why the tension was?
Well, he said he went through some family stuff, right?
Rory.
There was some stuff outside of the pod that was happening. Obviously, the whole pandemic thing's going on. So it just seems like whatever he was dealing with was amplified by 10 because of the current climate.
Right.
Being in the pandemic, lockdown.
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. He did get COVID, didn't he, as well?
He did, yeah. And then coming to the pod and then like doing that. And yeah, I just think a lot of things came together. And then with Joe's self, because Joe's a lot to handle himself, I think that just...
It just spiraled.
Yeah, it just spiraled.
So Joe. So okay, this whole thing is kicking off. There, you could tell there's a rift. We spoke about it before. They've gone. Apparently, Rory's gone LA or somewhere.
Atlanta. He's down
Atlanta. Joe's messaged him to take time off. So he's like, "What?
No, he said, "Don't come in.
Don't come in.
Don't come in today.
Don't come in."
The show. Don't come into the show.
It's gone back to Mo. Mo's angry because Mo's saying, who do you? It's not your decision to tell Rory not to come back to the show or to take time off or to take a little vibe. But it's not. It should have been a collective decision.
Yeah.
Joe argued. It's argued that it's his decision because what was going on is no one was communicating with each other, and he had to make a decision because he didn't know what was going on. What else happened? Joe told Mo. Joe directly told Mo to his face that the podcast was none of his business.
That was the Stone Cold Stunner.
Why do you think he had? Do you think that he had a right to say that?
He's got no right to say that. He got no right to say that, as in, I don't have the right to say that to you two, because Mo is a pivotal cog in that podcast. I've had my differences with the way Mo's style is and his approach. It just feels like Mo doesn't do enough research on topics because he doesn't
interact.
He's more of the one-liners, and I wouldn't do this or I should do this. He's more of like he kind of summarizes it. And I'm not saying he doesn't do any research. I'm just saying it seems like it's very difficult. I feel like he doesn't do enough deep dives.
Prompts himself to be a fly prop.
Okay.
You know in a movie scene, you have props.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
in a Wild Wild West, you probably have a barrel there, a horse going by. He positions himself as like a fly prop, a well-dressed, fly-looking prop who just sits there looking cool. Whereas while Rory and Joe are going back and forth, and he'll push back. And like G says, like that's one of the things with Maul.
Yeah.
Maul will tell you to your face, Meek Mill's my favorite rapper. And if you push back and go, he's not the best rapper.
Yeah.
We all know who the best rapper is.
Yeah.
Brooklyn Marcy. Son.
Yeah.
If you give him enough facts to back up your point of view, he'll crumble and go, yeah, you know what? All right, well, yeah. That guy's the best rapper.
Yeah.
So he's very wishy-washy sometimes.
Oh, he's a flip-flopper.
But on the flip side of that,
Yeah.
he is necessary for the pod.
Yes.
Because it's whether it's what we're used to hearing or whether it's the chemistry he has with Joe because they're very old friends.
Very.
It's just like the really hilarious, funny parts of the episodes. More is usually a part of it.
Yeah, this is true.
The entertainment part of it.
So by you saying that, he, what you mentioned,
Yeah.
that sounds like a characteristic.
Yeah, it does.
The one-liners, the minimal research,
Yeah.
might sound like someone you know. So
Yeah.
I think I'm just being
Yeah,
real,
yeah,
keeping it mad real.
Yeah. No.
I'm just keeping it mad
No,
real.
I
That
feel you.
might be matured, but I'm just thinking that might be a characteristic.
It might be a characteristic.
So less is more.
But the funny
I
thing
wonder
is,
who caught that.
The industry that he's in and the connects he has,
yeah.
Maul should be bringing, in my humble opinion, a lot more to the table in regards to information.
Yeah.
Not like inflammatory stuff.
Yeah.
We're not here to chatty patty and all that, but
Yeah.
your brother's Biggs. Biggs is 1/3 of the most iconic rap label.
Absolutely.
You should know more.
Yeah, he does, but he just. It might be on purpose.
Maybe.
This could be just on purpose.
Yeah.
This could be just what he does. Do you know what I'm saying? But I just like when I'm listening to podcasts and I'm hearing a lot of information from particular people because Joe is always very astute and he's very. He could tell when he talks.
He goes alpha, but with more, he doesn't do that.
And Rory is very.
It's the other way around.
Yeah, he's the one that will interject or he will have a question things and stuff like you, which is similar to what you do. Yeah. But let's talk about the show must go on. Did you feel basically Moore was saying that he weren't happy with the fact that the show went on without him, and he was looking at tweets and he was looking at visuals. And he was like, right, how come them niggas are on the show and we ain't sorted out our thing and rare. Now, how do you feel about that? As the show must go on.
I think Joe tapped on it as well, but the show must go on. Mm-hmm. Was the show meant to be suspended whilst them lot sorted their shit out? Mm-hmm. No. Mm-hmm. I think that the fact that they got someone to come in and fill
and
cover was essential, and it also was, like you said, you got into it, and it wasn't like they were substandard.
No, they were good.
They came in and So I think that I think that Joe made a very good executive decision that needed to be made.
Yep.
Because the people that should have been there weren't there to make it collectively.
How do you feel, Driz?
Well, we said on the last pod when we've been well documenting this thing that the show must go on. I think that when Moore said, watching the show and seeing two other guys there was just nasty. I was like, that's a bit OTT of a response to give. You could say, all right, I'll be honest, I was a bit disappointed to see that production didn't halt. But as it was pointed out, there's people who are dependent on this show going on to pay their rent, to put food in their fridge. So in a way, while I understand where Moore's coming from, because he thought like, Rod, you just had two guys on standby for when a day like this comes, you just draft them in. But on the flip side, what I think Mo was thinking from a very selfish, emotional point, which is fine, because we're all entitled to that as humans, but the bigger picture was Parks has to pay for his day-to-days, save on.
Yeah, the cameraman.
Do you know what I mean? And
People
they've got
rely
a
on it.
contractual obligation to put these episodes out.
Exactly.
So while I understand it's weird looking at someone being there while you've got something going on in the background. The bigger picture is it's not like I would have understand more 100% if it said the Joe Budden podcast with Ish and Ice. If that came up, I'd be like, ooh, right.
We've changed it, and this is where we're going moving forward.
Drops.
Woo!
Ishy, and I don't know how the fuck the drops
Yeah,
go. You know what I
yeah,
mean? That wasn't happening because when it started, it was new Joe Budden.
That's it. Yeah, nothing. Yeah.
So I think, he just needed to. I think he wasn't looking at both sides of the coin, and you know, people were dependent on the show going.
At the end of the day,
listeners as well.
At the end of the day, you still have an obligation to your fans.
Right.
You've got millions of that podcast garners millions of views and following, and for you to upkeep that, you have to be regular. You have to be consistent. So. I'm not saying the fans always deserve an explanation of what goes on in our lives or in their lives personally, but you still have a show that people are waiting for. Don't forget, and this is the thing about not even just podcasts, shows in general, events, things of that nature. Some people look forward to those things in life.
True.
Like, shit, I've had a hard day and I just want to listen to the podcast. I've had a hard day. I want to watch this TV show. I can't wait. It's where I have my cup of tea. It's where I have my food. It's where
little ritual that
my wind down. You see what I'm saying? So those things, you're obligated to that. So you both have decided, or decision been made that you two can't be there or shouldn't be there. But no, I'm lying. At no point Maul couldn't be there. Maul just said he didn't come because he didn't want to be.
And I called that. I told you.
You called it.
He's gonna.
I didn't want to just be there and Rory not be there. Yeah. You get me? I feel that. But at the same time, they both was absent for 6 weeks. What was the fan base supposed to do? And at the end of the day, that could have taken a landslide. Because the show's been going on for so long, I feel like people are hanging on to it because they've built up a big enough foundation, right? Yeah. But at the same time, fans are fickled and they can just go, all right, well, fuck it, I'm just going somewhere else.
3 months, 3 months, it could have gone, or even whatever, but
I'm bouncing.
Something else, and then they might have found something that they resonated with more. Oh, really? Do you want to take that chance?
You want to take that chance? So I feel like more in a professional aspect should have just allowed that. I get what you were saying about respect, and what fucking Joe said to him was disrespectful, and he apologized, which was good. And you know what? When I was listening to the podcast, I was like, this is really good for them, and this is really good for us. It wasn't about money, after all. It wasn't about money, after all. I thought it was. It seemed that way.
Is that accurate?
I took something different from that.
Talk to me.
I felt like...
Talk to me.
Yeah.
Because he didn't deep dive into it. But
he mentioned things
Rory was like, there's a few things that when you said, oh, what are we not happy about, something like that, he said, I'm just writing down or whatever. And he was all right, cool. So he said there's a
contracts.
Few things, right? And I feel like
without us knowing,
the whole respect thing.
I did say that in the last episode.
Yeah, the whole respect thing. I feel like he was kind of using respect as a blanket statement. He was really saying like, there's things going on
that we have no idea. Yeah. He said that.
He did say
I heard him say that.
He did say that.
So maybe he didn't go into it too much because he wanted to make a big thing out of it.
But is it about money?
It's always about money, isn't it?
I don't want to say it's about money per se, but it's about decisions being made on the show that I feel they should be a part of making.
Right.
And that obviously can involve money, but it might be other things as well.
Well, what's the bottom line?
The money.
I'm asking what's the bottom line?
No, but I feel you because I feel what you're saying, Trim. And I'm only going back on what I said. I said in the last podcast.
Yeah.
I feel like it's like about money. I did.
Well, yeah.
But when I'm listening
we're
to
part of it, so we get it.
Yeah,
we kind of understand.
We understand it. But when I was hearing what Moore was saying and the way that things were, because even Moore was saying, look, I'm not talking to Joe because Joe doesn't care about money. I'm not talking to Joe because Joe doesn't care about contracts. I'm talking to Joe because it's about respect. Now, when you say respect, that could be just, again, as Drizzy said, being privy to certain things. Like, Like, why are you not letting me into this? Why haven't I known about this? Why have you left the door open for me to feel some type of way about your business dealings? So when you're saying, is it about money? It's like, it's about business. It's about business.
Yeah.
About business.
And what's the bottom line?
Being at the table when
What's the bottom line of the
About
business?
yeah.
What is so as far as business goes?
Yeah.
What's the most important part of business?
I feel you, Trim.
No, I'm just asking. Do you
making a
Survival.
Survival.
and you need finance to be able to survive. For them to come into wherever the establishment is, to be able to pay for the camera, pay for the everything, all of the fine, the smaller details and that, it takes that. So if we're talking about business, we're talking about money.
Yeah. It's a bottom. Yeah. It's a bottom. It's called the bottom line.
It is.
It's called the bottom line. So, in summary, what can we learn from this as a group? And obviously, Joe's become a part of this group now in the last month or so.
Yeah.
And he's like, bro, this guy is just like, I didn't want to say it too early to Joe. I just wanted to see how things transpired. But Joe was timely. Now, when I talk about Joe being timely, this is no slate on Trebler and what he did at all.
You don't have to.
No, but I'm just, bro, we're being open and honest.
But I think we've.
No. But what I'm saying to you is we're being open and honest about our business. We're talking about business. We're not talking about person. This is not about the person.
No.
This is about a platform that we're trying to build. And at the end of the day, when you're trying to build it, you have to be all in sync. We all have to be together, and this thing's got to work. So when I'm asking the question, what we learn from this is, the fact of the matter is when I've watched what's happened with Joe Budden's podcast in the last 6 weeks, we can't get to that stage when we come through testing times, because they are going to be testing times. You're going to be testing times when contracts are put on the table. You're going to be testing times when we have to make executive decisions amongst each other.
Yep.
And we have to go, okay, cool. What's best for the brand? What's best for what's going to keep us all on the same page? And that's why I always say to the man them, this is our podcast. This is as much as Joe's podcast as it is Drizzy's, as Trim's, as mine. I don't want it to feel like it's my thing, and it's because when it feels like that for me, I feel more pressure to perform. I feel more pressure to execute certain things. When I've got a team, then I can lean on my team. I might come here one day and I'm not really that in it. I'm not involved. I need everybody on the same page. Joe might come to the studio one day and goes, guys, I'm not even really, but he's still got to record. You get me? And we still got to put a product out because there's a fan base that are looking for that every 2 weeks or every whatever. Do you know what I mean? So I don't know how you feel, and then I'll start with Trim.
Yeah.
When you listen to that podcast and you heard what the rumblings were and you heard the arguments, which ended up being a conversation that they've already had, so they didn't go to the podcast necessarily to hash it out. They hashed it out for 7 hours or something like that.
They had to.
But it was on the podcast where they actually divulged what was going on. What did you specifically learn from that?
All right. So what I learned from it was that
Trimmer.
there's a lot to learn. There's a lot of variables, and things can happen at a drop of a hat. Mm-hmm. Or if you're not preempting things like this, well, we're lucky enough to see what happened. So moving forward, we would be able to work through things a lot sooner. But for them now, looking at how that was, it shows they had no idea that it could get that deep. Yeah, they had no idea that it could be that serious because they were talking to each other like, even though they'd hashed it out for 7 hours, they were talking to each other like it was still fresh. The wound was still fresh. Yeah. And I don't think it's done. Yeah. I don't think it's even close to done. No. I think they've worked it out and they know that they still want to keep going. Yeah. But
absolutely,
this could still be lingering for over 6 months to a year because people have now, you know someone for 20 years and only just found out something new 6 weeks ago or whatever, or you've been
it
harboring
happens.
things. So now that you've learned something new, you're gonna be like,
Yeah.
I feel like I don't really know this person now. They've kind of flipped it on me a little bit. I think he feels like his pants have been pulled down a little bit. He feels disrespected, and that's why he keeps on talking about respect so much. Rory, everything that everybody's speaking about are the things that mean that much.
Yeah.
So with Joe now feels like his integrity has been tainted.
Yeah, I'd say absolutely.
Huge.
Yeah.
Because the way he's like, you guys got me mad now, and I'm gonna talk, and I'm gonna this and that. So what's happened is he's been talking the least.
But you know what it is, Trim? It's because the stigma around Joe is that he always does this. Is it an agenda?
Maybe.
Basically,
They're putting it on him now for that because they haven't been doing that before.
His complex situation.
They used it on him on the show.
Yeah,
They done that to him.
Yeah,
they actually done that to him.
I don't think he was ready for that.
He wasn't ready for that,
you're right.
and he never thought that they would do that. So they put it on him.
Yeah, they did.
They actually put it on him, and so for as long as he's been doing that, they said that is done.
Yeah.
Because that was it. That was the boundary.
Yeah.
That was the boundary, and
Yeah.
they put it out, and they said, "Nah, you keep because we don't know if he keeps on doing it." But the fact that they mentioned complex and this and that, they almost felt happy.
Yeah.
They were like, whatever.
Yeah,
because he
yeah.
was taken back now because normally he's the one that does the mind games.
Of course.
He's the Fergie. You get what I'm saying? He's normally the one that pulls, you know what I mean? He said, no, I get it. I know about shaking the tree. Yeah, because you're a tree shaker.
Yeah.
You're the tree.
You are a tree shaker.
Yeah, and that's what you do. And that's what he does to everybody else when they come onto the show.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
that was interesting.
interesting. Drizzy.
Yeah, I mean, we've had a semi.
Pause.
We've had what?
I don't have I don't have semis, you know, bro. I don't have semi. I have full blown erections, bro. It doesn't do halfway. You get me? It goes.
The fact that you felt that you had to.
The fact that you felt.
Confirm that.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. We'll leave that where it is.
Where? Where is it?
No, it just pads the-
Oh.
But we had a
Yeah, you can't say it again.
situation
Yeah.
around season 2, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Let's talk.
shit.
You did it, so let's talk.
Yeah.
I was just giving a
You was involved in it.
Yeah.
He was in
the thick of it.
He was in the front.
He had
lines of
he
that.
had his Wellingtons on
Yeah,
and his galoshes.
yeah.
So what are you telling us? Break it down.
So basically,
Yeah.
the podcast originally started with 4 members.
Yeah.
Shout out to Wezzy Wez, shout out to Maintain.
Yeah.
I became a fan of the show because I remember the first episode I listened to, which was the first episode, which is probably like the pilot one, was about spogging.
Islington.
Islington.
Yeah.
Islington.
So I was in. So that was funny.
Yeah.
And yeah, so fast forward, I wanted to do a podcast with my brothers. That was my original plan, was to do a podcast with my brothers.
Right.
I set up the group, everything. But I just felt like I was doing a lot of the heavy lifting as to trying to get the ball rolling, names, content, So it didn't come to fruition. So then I must have hollered at you, like, yo, try to do this thing, And then you said to me, oh, Maintain's not here. So we're down to 3.
Yeah.
And I said, cool, well, I wouldn't mind being a pass through as like a...
Yeah,
you know?
of course.
And then you said to me, all right, cool, that's something that could work. I said to him, all right, speak to the rest of the man there and see how they feel about it.
Yeah.
Like, I remember I was at the airport when I was speaking to him.
The Clearport, yeah?
Clearport. You know what I mean? I touched down and take off the same night. And then, so yeah. And then fast forward, you guys were having rotating
Guests.
people come on the
Yeah,
show.
we were, yeah.
Shout
Shout out to Nero.
Hero,
nephew.
Yeah, Pedro. Ty. My cousin Ty.
Yeah. Big up.
But you lot was taking it in turns in regards to like, all right, this week I'll suggest someone, Trim will suggest for the next show, yada, yada, yada. But some people's guests who were locked in to come in weren't coming. They flopped. So G would hit me up and go, yo, Driz, man.
You might as well.
I'm like,
Yeah.
I was just like, oh man, can you do me a solid and like come through? And it's like, all right, cool. So I was always coming through on the show. It's in my calendar, so I made sure I wasn't busy that day.
Drizzy's real organised, I lie.
I'm telling you.
So I was always free. So when he says,
should be white.
so-and-so's flopped. So-and-so's flopped.
He's not
I just
far.
went through. Then it got to the point where someone said that they felt I was trying to take their position. I had no... It was a 4-man show and there was only 3 there. So I'm just thinking, well, if I come through my A game, I'll just fill out the 4th slot.
Yes.
Really?
So was it clear to you that whoever felt that way said this is what you're doing?
There was a few things that happened on the show
That what?
that was super
It always
obvious.
happens on the show, innit?
Yeah,
Like,
it was super
weird.
obvious.
The
Like,
subs.
I'd say something
It was a
and
sub.
It was mad. It was a sub.
It was a subway.
Mad dismissive.
Yeah.
They're mad dismissive. Like just cut it down like bam. And I'd be like, all right, cool. All right, I'm gonna keep that receipt, but I'm not saying nothing. I'm gonna keep the receipt.
Yeah.
And it got to a point where I had to Morgs. I was like, bro, I just feel like I just laid it out to him, and he goes, you know what? And then you told me you
Can we just let the cat out of the bag and just...
no, because the thing is, I have respect for this person. Hence why I've not said their name. I respect them. I was very disappointed the angle they thought I was coming at. Because that never crossed my mind once.
yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I just thought there's an empty slot there. It's me and whoever really to try and fill that 4th seat.
In that situation, I feel like sometimes we as individuals get territorial, and we can clearly see that that's how Moore felt. Moore felt that way.
100%.
He felt territorial.
Yeah,
He was
because
like,
he
how
spoke
dare
about
you
it. How do you do
replace
that?
me?
Wait 6 weeks for me.
Yeah, wait for me. How you got next man in my seat?
My seat.
You get me?
Yours, yeah?
Yeah, you see what I'm saying? So with what Drizzy's saying, I can see how someone who's already got a position is feeling intimidated. I don't feel like they should have, but everybody's got insecurities about certain things. I feel like me in my position, I don't feel insecure about most things because I know my worth in a position. If you don't know your worth, sometimes it can become... Then your dialogue with individuals can become a little bit like, bro, what's up? You get me? Like, because not one point in time, and to this day, that individual we're talking about, love to him because he's my Donny.
That's why I
was
don't
never
say him, so.
His position for me was never
Under threat.
under threat.
Exactly.
It was only his attitude that
Indicated stuff.
He even
started highlighting.
admitted to me he had to question. He was questioning.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? Yeah. So at the end of the day, bottom line is, because I want to keep it moving, is summarizing this situation and watching what's happened with Fast Food with what's happened with Joe Budden's podcast, is that the Fast Food podcast as individuals, we all have to learn from this. Joe did that, so hopefully we wouldn't have to go through that.
I think they all went through it. I know you're saying Joe,
Yeah.
but we're a team, innit? And so are they. And I felt like I don't think there was not one person that didn't feel the impact.
Yeah.
I think that everybody felt it, and there was an emotional attachment, and I feel like it affected them exactly the same.
Yeah.
I think that maybe in that situation that we had, only 2 people was impacted.
Yeah, the most. Yeah. Food for thought. Communication is key.
Transparency.
And
Key.
And when you feel some type of way or you've got questions you need to ask, just call the person directly and speak to them. You know what I mean?
Is it that easy to do? No. Say what you're gonna say. We can go back to that.
Because me and Trim have had differences in the past.
Yeah.
And nothing's ever not been squashed by a phone call. We've had phone calls and we've both thought about what we said and did, and immediately it's over.
Yeah.
So it's like, again, communication. It might be, there's nothing wrong with you being angry with me. You being angry with me, or I've been angry with you, or me being upset with Joe for something, or Joe being upset with me for something. Yeah. But when we communicate, if we don't communicate, that's when we've all fucked up.
Yeah. True.
That's when you fuck up completely, because I don't know. I'm who I am, and sometimes I need people to show me who I am. Morgs,
Or
come on,
what
bro.
they see of you.
Of me.
That's different.
That's it.
That's different.
You
to
know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's that, and I think that's what's going to keep the podcast growing, because we'll all be on the same page, and every time we come to do this job, it's just going to be fucking excellent. So that's the bottom line. Shout out to Joe Budden. Shout out to Moore, Rory in the camp.
Yeah.
We'll still be listening anyway. We were listening, but again, sometimes there's lessons in certain things.
I just real quick. I just wanted to think. Oh, it's not even that important, but I just wanted to think. What do you think? We don't really know, but Ish and what's his name? Could you imagine what they thought afterwards? Like, I want to know what did Joe say to them? What was the basis on? You lot come in short term?
Yeah, they were always covers.
I think they were aware of that.
Yeah,
That's
they
cool.
were aware.
I didn't know. So
Yeah, because
I'm not in it like that.
Yeah, but for just to clear that up,
Because their podcast takes half a day.
when
I saw 3 hours on the podcast, I thought,
yeah, it's a long podcast.
Yeah.
But what from the start, when Ish and Ice came in, they were always going to be just fillers, and they made that very clear. Joe made that very clear. They understood what it was. In fact, they have other jobs that they do. It was just that Joe needed a solid pause.
You're now listening to the Fast Food Podcast.
The Fast Food Podcast.